Northern Canada's Dempster Highway. From the community of Inuvik, tracing the northern half of this world-famous roadway to the Arctic Circle and beyond, herding reindeer in Canada's north.
A drive began to move the reindeer from Alaska to the Mackenzie Delta.
A remote festival celebrating centuries of Gwich'in culture.
We're passing on the social activities of our ancestors to the youth.
And a lifeline at the halfway point of Canada's northernmost highway.
This facility is necessary because we're in a high wind zone. Often the blizzards require us to close the road.
Now, we reveal the secrets of Canada's northern boundary. More than 160,000 kilometers of Arctic frontier. Canada over the edge. In the heart of Canada's western Arctic region, the town of Inuvik lies 100 kilometers south of the Beaufort Sea. Inuvik is known as a transportation hub, a crossroads for northern travel, by water, air, and ice. The town is also known as the final stop on Canada's highway system. Locals say Inuvik has the northernmost traffic light in the Western Hemisphere and the northernmost paved road in Canada. But that paved road will soon extend even further. By 2018, a permanent highway will continue to the town of Tuktoyaktuk and the Arctic Ocean beyond. Until then, Inuvik will be known as the end of the road, a title it has held since 1979 with the construction of one of the world's most famous roads, the Dempster Highway. Heading south along this gravel roadway, the town of Inuvik quickly disappears. The Dempster Highway was originally conceived in the 1950s, an industrial corridor for oil and gas reserves in Canada's far north. The project was delayed until 1968, when neighboring Alaska struck oil. Canadian authorities decided they must act quickly and continued the project, linking north and south. The first Canadian all-season highway to extend north of the Arctic Circle was completed in 1979. But the Dempster Highway is more than just an industrial corridor. It is one of the most scenic roadways in the world. Just outside Inuvik, Gwich'in Territorial Park lines the waters of Campbell Lake. Gwich'in, translated people of the flatlands, are one of the northernmost Aboriginal peoples in North America. They have called this region home for generations. And on the water, Campbell Lake is pristine, surrounded by rock cliffs dating back hundreds of millions of years. Campbell Lake is also known as a reversing delta, with the nearby waters of the East Channel flooding into the lake each spring. And just kilometers to the south, this vast expanse of boreal forest holds another cultural connection. Maps labeled this stretch of the Dempster a reindeer grazing reserve. It is part of a legacy that stretches back decades. And while reindeer no longer graze here, they remain a part of the local culture and diet.
My name is Lloyd Binder. I'm the president of Canadian Reindeer, which is based in Inuvik, Northwest Territories. So what happened was in the 1920s, caribou movements were rapidly falling off, so the migration routes had changed, and people in Inuvik and the Delta would have to go quite a ways to the east to harvest caribou, to hunt caribou, and this was a concern. So in 1925, a herd of about 3,000 reindeer were bought, and a drive began to move the reindeer from Alaska to the Mackenzie Delta. And what was supposed to take 18 months, in fact, took 5 years.
Lloyd Binder's grandfather came here from Norway in 1931 to be a part of that original drive. In later years, Lloyd's father took the reins, until finally, it was Lloyd's turn. Today, the herd has moved further north to Richards Island.
I grew up in the Canadian Reindeer Project. My parents were involved, my grandparents were involved. As a child, I would help, as a young teenager, help with the summer corralling activities, and so it was something I became familiar with, and I always kept an interest in reindeer. I've always felt an affinity for them, and when the opportunity came to actually to buy the reindeer herd, I took the chance, and so here I am today.
Now, heading downstream, Binder navigates the waters of the East Channel to visit another relic of the early reindeer era.
Okay, we're heading down the east branch of the Mackenzie, heading to Reindeer Station. That's the center of the reindeer herding industry from about from the 1940s to the 1960s. So this route takes, if we hug the right-hand side, this channel, we'll come to Reindeer Station about 50 kilometers. So I've done this run probably 100 times by maybe 60 times, 80 times by river, and about 40 times by snowmobile.
At first glance, not much remains of Reindeer Station. once the base of operations for the reindeer industry in the north.
So we're pulling up now to Reindeer Station, which has been here since the 1940s, and we'll spend a while here and look around and see what's left of the old place. This is my hometown, born here, 1952. Yee-hoo! I come to visit Reindeer Station whenever I can on my way to the coast, or maybe just to pick berries, to come look around, see where I played as a kid, look at Summer Hill where we used to run up and run down, especially to get away from the bugs in the summertime on a hot July day. We would play around here all over the place, climb the birch trees, which you didn't see much of in the Inuvik or Inuvik in some places. So this is where I spent certainly a lot of my early childhood summers, along with the other children of the project. There were a dozen or more families involved, so I have a lot of cousins and friends that were born here or moved here and lived here.
Binder says decades ago, as many as 100 people lived here.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen, all for free. No subscription required.
The town featured a church and a school, with meat production taking place not far away.
So we wouldn't actually see reindeer right in Reindeer Station unless they were brought in basically for processing, having been slaughtered. What really would happen is that the reindeer would be killed up on the plateau on the top of the hill and then brought down by sled. There was a slaughterhouse in the valley.
Today, Lloyd Binder operates the reindeer industry out of Inuvik, a third-generation northern business that is ingrained in his life. Meanwhile, his childhood home, Reindeer Station, is in the process of renewal, now a cultural facility for local youth.
So what we see here are the new buildings put up by the Inuvik Community Corporation for basically for cultural programs for youth and elders. There'll be language programs, there'll be basic storytelling games. It'll work well, and it does work well to basically give kids a change and bring them back to their roots of living in the bush and eating country foods, especially setting nets and working with fish and with different meats, and learn their languages, their dialects, reconnect with the elders, and basically drop out of the 21st century for a while. The nature of reindeer herding is really that you might find one person in every generation, and I guess I'm the lucky guy that got hooked with the bug for reindeer. I do have a real sense of pride to be the third generation in my family to be involved with reindeer, and times have been tough, but luckily times are getting better, and there's much more interest in seeing the herd survive. "40 kilometers south of the town of Inuvik, we continue tracing the contours of the Dempster Highway. When the Dempster Highway was constructed decades ago, it connected an old roadway known as Highway 11 with dog sledding trails that had been used for decades. The road was considered a major achievement, spanning frozen rivers, soaring plateaus, and vast expanses of boreal forest. A
Amazingly, the Dempster Highway is open in all seasons, despite the landscape being under snow and ice for much of the year. To the west, one of the most scenic stretches of the Dempster Highway is located kilometers off-road, the Richardson Mountains. The Richardson Mountains run to the southeast along the Northwest Territories' Yukon border. They are an incredible sight on the barren northern landscape, named in honor of Sir John Richardson, an explorer and surgeon who accompanied Sir John Franklin on his overland expeditions in the 19th century. Today, the Richardson Mountains are popular for modern adventurers, with trails from the Dempster leading into the mountains, along winding rivers and ethereal mountainous landscapes. Back to the northern reaches of the Dempster Highway, we approach a series of pristine waterways. "50 kilometers south of Inuvik, the Ringling River crosses the Dempster. It is a tiny trickling river, best known to locals for fishing Arctic grayling and as a popular picnic spot. The Ringling flows to the east, where deep amongst the trees, we meet the waters of the East Channel. And further still, the waters of the mighty Mackenzie River. The Mackenzie River is the longest and largest river system in Canada. It is a vast, slow-moving waterway, descending just 150 meters in elevation from its source near Great Slave Lake to the Arctic Ocean. And while the river is based entirely in the Northwest Territories, the area it drains is vast, extending into 5 other Canadian provinces and territories. In total, the Mackenzie watershed measures roughly the size of Indonesia. The Mackenzie River is the longest North American river flowing into the Arctic Ocean and one of the longest rivers in the world. And 100 kilometers south of Inuvik, we reach a major confluence as the Arctic Red River meets the Mackenzie River at the community of Sigachik. Sigachik was known to outsiders as Arctic Red River until 1994, when it took the name locals have known for years, translated Mouth of the Iron River. For generations, Sigachik was a Gwich'in summer fishing camp, a stopping place at the meeting point of two major waterways. A Roman Catholic church was built here in 1868, and with the construction of the Dempster Highway a century later, the permanent community was established. Continuing west from the Mackenzie River and the community of Sigachik, we follow the trajectory of the Dempster Highway. Since its completion in 1979, this roadway has been a lifeblood for residents in the northern communities of the Northwest Territories, providing supplies for much of the year. And just 30 kilometers west of Sigachik, we reach another of those northern communities. Fort McPherson was established in 1849 with the construction of a Hudson's Bay Company trading post on the shores of the Peel River. In the 1920s, Gwich'in residents throughout the region began constructing seasonal cabins and eventually settled here. Like Sigachik on the Mackenzie River, Fort McPherson is connected to the western bank of the Peel River by a seasonal ferry, known here as the M.V. Abraham Francis. These ferries cross the Mackenzie and the Peel Rivers until winter, when the ice road opens. But for a few weeks each year, Fort McPherson and Sigachik are cut off during fall freeze-up and spring breakup, with the river too icy for ferry traffic, but not solid enough to drive on. Today, Fort McPherson is home to 900 people, with 80% of its population of Gwich'in descent. That Gwich'in culture is celebrated throughout town, especially at Fort McPherson's Interpretive Center, offering a window into local culture.
My name is Robert Luxey. I'm a Gwich'in elder. I operate this campground for the government of Northwest Territories for many years. I can't say how many years, but there's quite a few years that I've been here.
Robert Alexi says the banks of the Peel River in Fort McPherson and beyond have been a home to the Gwich'in people for centuries.
Gwich'in peoples that they live from day one. Day one, I mean, hundreds and few thousand years ago, they lived in this part of the country. I heard stories from way back that people lived in this area, just living right off the land. They live the headwaters of the Peel. The whole Peel there, as you come over from Dawson City, you're going to get into Blackstone area. That was their main territory. Like that's where they live almost year round, in Blackstone and the headwaters of the Peel. Caribou was their main food. You know, wherever they figure the caribou is, they move with that. And in the fall, all winter, and the springtime, they just live off the land.
Robert Alexi meets visitors from around the world. He says they are fascinated by stories of the Gwich'in and the landscape itself.
I sit here for tours many years, and I meet people from all over the world, and a lot of wonderful peoples that I met. I see people coming in from Germany, and they drive the Dempster Highway, no traffic, and they have to stop the car and open the door slowly. Absolutely no noise. They just can't believe it.
Years after his ancestors came to Fort McPherson, Robert Alexi says it is crucial to keep the history of the Gwich'in alive.
Well, it's a big difference today. I heard stories from back in when they had bow and arrows. Stories from back there until the guns come in, muzzle loaders and that come in. I heard stories from way back there. And compared to today, it's a big change. There are very few people that go down the land still enjoy life out on the land, which is very important yet. That's a lot of good places to go. The most important thing is the just sort of gathering and enjoy meeting one another once again. And next year they'll do it again, and they'll come again.
And gatherings like the ones Alexi describes are happening. Just outside Fort McPherson, the Midway Lake Music Festival is celebrating its 29th year. Here, Gwich'in people congregate from throughout Western and Northern Canada, building weekend shelters and enjoying days of song and dance. Richard Wilson is one of the organizers.
Right now we're in Midway Lake Festival, 25 miles southwest of Fort McPherson along the Dempster Highway. First time we started the festival was 29 years ago. At first, everybody came out with their tents and they packed up and moved. Ever since we started the festival, it got so popular, people started moving up and building their own shacks up here. And that's what the people enjoy.
The Midway Lake Music Festival features a wide variety of cultural activities. In the main tent, music goes on for days.
Well, we concentrate on our old-time dances like the jigging, the square dances, and all the reels. And we're, in doing so, we are passing down the traditional song, music, and dances to our youth, and also the old-time music on the instruments. One thing about the festival that's so unique is it's held on the land where people can enjoy, they eat their traditional food, and I don't think there's any place in Canada that does what we do.
Just outside the tent, Hazel Nesu is another organizer. She concentrates on the social aspects of the festival.
I think it's unique because it's on the land, and everybody takes the time and prepare. They come out here and they set up their camps and they camp here. It's just like a gathering and a chance to spend time with your family. A lot of them don't get to go on the land anymore. Like my sister, she drove up from Hay River this year to come, but every year she comes. Yeah, and family that lives in different areas, they come home.
But for Nesu and her family, the most important part of the festival may be the food.
Well, this is my camp, and I have my sister-in-law, my son, my camp, her camp, my daughters, and my little fish, my little smokehouse. We have some caribou meat on the grill. We always have tea and coffee on because people always come. A lot of traditional food is prepared for this weekend. And right now we're cleaning the fish guts, the insides of the fish, and we cook it up and they eat that.
Back to the stage, the real Midway Lake attraction is the Youth Square Dance competition. And this year's competition is tough.
One of the popular events at the festival is our jigging contest, and everybody looks forward to the jigging contest because some of our people really have some fancy steps, and it's just a crowd pleaser. Later on, you're gonna go and witness it for yourself.
And once the competition is completed, the real dance party will begin and carry into the wee hours. After nearly 3 decades, the Midway Lake Music Festival has become dear in the hearts of the local Gwich'in people. They expect it will continue.
This festival is very important to the Gwich'in people. It's like we're carrying on a traditional social life of the Gwich'in. Since time immemorial, our people lived on the land as nomads, mainly following the porcupine caribou herd as their main source of food. And after a long winter on the land, they like to come together and celebrate in song, music, and dance. And so we're passing on the social activities of our ancestors to the youth.
Heading south from Fort McPherson, we reach the winding waters of the North Vitraquois River. Here, we head east leaving the Dempster Highway behind, through the Vitraquois Valley, to stunning landscapes that can't be seen from the road. The North Vitraquois River is one of many pristine waterways in the region, flowing into the Vitraquois River just kilometers to the east, and finally the Peel River beyond. Continuing south from the North Vitraquois River, we climb high above a series of remote hills. And here, just kilometers east of the Dempster Highway, a geographic milestone lies ahead as we leave the Northwest Territories behind and enter the Yukon Territory. Like the Northwest Territories, the Yukon Territory is a vast open expanse. It measures more than 480,000 square kilometers, roughly the size of Spain. And further south, we cross another geographic landmark. This is the Northern Continental Divide, a boundary line marking a change in the flow of rivers, north to the Beaufort Sea and west to the Bering Sea. Further, the hills continue to rise as we meet the Richardson Mountains once again. Here, rocky outcroppings are contrasted by smooth soaring slopes on approach to incredible summits like Mount Kearney and Mount Cronin, with some peaks rising more than a kilometer high. Finally, just west of Mount Hare, we return to the Dempster Highway. And just kilometers in the distance, a third geographic landmark. It is the Arctic Circle. Located just above the 66th parallel, the Arctic Circle marks the division between the Earth's Arctic and northern temperate zones. The Arctic Circle is considered the southernmost latitude in the Northern Hemisphere that will experience 24-hour sunlight or 24-hour darkness in the months of June and December each year. Here on the Dempster, it is a popular stopping point for visitors from around the world. "30 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle, we approach the halfway point on Canada's northernmost highway. Here, we return to civilization at a unique outpost. This is a hotel, restaurant, mechanic shop, airplane landing strip, and gas station.
Good morning, my name is Stan McNevin. I'm the general manager of Eagle Plains, and we're located at kilometer 371 of the Dempster Highway, just south of the Arctic Circle in the northern Yukon. We're a fully functional hotel. It's completely self-contained. We generate our own power. As you can see, we have to haul our own water, then we have to make the water, and then run a sewer treatment plant, full operational restaurant, and service station to do the maintenance for the trucks and the traveling public.
The Eagle Plains Hotel and Service Station is a crucial point for life on the Dempster. For regulars on this road, Stan McNevin and his staff are a friendly face.
This facility is necessary because we're in a high wind zone, and particularly in the winter months, often the blizzards require us to close the road, so we need some place as a safe haven for the traveling public and the commercial transport. Last year in February, for example, there was a major trucking push, so we're dealing with up to 50 trucks on any given day. We've had airplane crashes where we've had to go and rescue the downed aircraft and all the personnel that's on board.
In addition to a gas station, Eagle Plains is a self-sustaining shelter built to survive the toughest elements the Yukon can dish out.
We just actually brought in a load of water from where we get our water source from, which is about 45 kilometers away. Round trip is just over 2 hours. We haul about 3,500 gallons with this new truck, and this is just the hydraulic pump for it. And I'm just gonna hook up. And it'll take roughly about 20-25 minutes, and we'll travel 2 to 3 times a day, depending on how busy the summer day is. It's a full-time job, pretty much for one guy.
Inside, the water is filtered and chlorinated.
Once that process is completed, then it's taken from that tank into this tank. It goes through final filtration, softening, it's chlorinated again, and then it can be taken out to the hotel. And this also acts as our fire reserve, and we have high pressure fire pumps that if we, in case of fire, we can draw from that tank to fight whatever fire takes place.
And in this region of the Yukon, you can never go without heat.
This is where we create the heat. These are the boilers for the operation. The way the system is designed, everything here has a redundant system. So if we need one pump, we'll have 2 for pump failures, backups, repair service. So each one bank of these boilers will maintain heats for the facility at 30 below. So if this bank fails, we can rely on this bank. We also create all our hot water here for showers, laundry, that type of thing. So same thing, we have a redundant system there. So if one portion of the event fails, we can just rely on the backup.
Along with feeding people and keeping them warm, Stan and his team house the vehicles that maintain this highway year-round.
Alrighty, this is our main service bay, obviously the tire storage. This is where we do all the maintenance repair on both the trucks and the commercial vehicles and private vehicles. So if it's a wiring issue or a mechanical issue, we'll use this area to do the repairs. Tires, as you can see, we have a great deal of storage, and we have more outside because in the summer months we can be repairing, keep personnel on that steady 7 days a week. The road itself can be hard, but what it is basically is people are running a very light duty tire. They're not used to gravel roads, and because of that we end up doing a greater number of repairs.
But while the service buildings at Eagle Plains are important, McNevin says the lodge is where it all began.
Yes, we built the lodge in 1978, and that was me and my father put the program together. So this is one of the facilities at the lodge. This is our lounge. We take a great deal of pride in this. We've been collecting the regional animals for a great number of years. The bar itself came out of an old hotel in Whitehorse back in the day. The chandelier we built one cold winter night. And the lodge itself has 32 rooms, so we can accommodate roughly about 80 people. We have dining for 60. We have campground facilities. We have laundry facilities for the traveling public. This is the bar. This is a little history about where the bar came from and the story behind it. It was in Whitehorse back in the 70s, and we moved it over to here. And at the end of the day, when we come in for a sarsaparilla, this is kind of where we wind down. Staff get together, discuss what was good about the day, what was bad, how the weather was, who we met, and we meet some of the traveling public.
For Stan McNevin, decades of life have made this halfway point home. While he travels often to Dawson City and beyond, Eagle Plains will always be in his blood.
Actually, the Northern Yukon's beautiful. It's a lot of work, but we definitely enjoy the location. There's no lineups here, and we get to meet people from all over the world.
From the town of Inuvik at Canada's northern end of the road, to the communities of Fort McPherson and Sigachik, to the Arctic Circle and Eagle Plains, the Northern Dempster Highway is a landscape steeped in history and geographic boundaries. With boreal forest lining the northern limits of the Northwest Territories, pristine rivers marking the traditional hunting grounds of the Gwich'in people, and the Yukon's rugged continental divide. Canada's Northern Dempster Highway is a remote gem, a drive of a lifetime. Here on the edge of Canada.